Or just start with
you're gonna get geek started and it's not gonna end well.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the January Patron Hangout. I am just astounded at that fact. I think I have almost a full house.
You do have a full house.
Yeah. Suck it, Steve Shives.
He didn't have one today. That's true. He had at most 9 people. I was so surprised there was like open spots.
Right. Normally on the Chevs, it's like, you're waiting on the line. And the bouncer is like, get the hell out. There's absolutely no way you're getting in tonight. But anyway, so yes, welcome to you, the viewers, and also welcome to my patrons, the people who make a financial contribution every month, throw a bit of money in my tip cup to say thank you, and also are part of the Resistance Fund, of course. And so this is my way to touch base with you guys and connect and hear what's going on in your lives. And we were just talking about immigration policy. I don't know if people want to continue on with that, but yes, that's where we were when we decided to go, hey, let's start the broadcast. So, Tim, did you were commenting?
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I guess another thing I'd say is, and I called into the majority report with Sam Theater about this a couple of weeks ago.
Did you?
And yeah,
that's cool.
I'm Tim from Canada. That's my caller name on that show.
Okay, are you the only Tim from Canada? Like,
yes, I think I'm that's me on there though. Right. But, anyway, yeah. So Trump's policies have actually increased illegal immigration into Canada because of they're scared that they're gonna get kicked out. Haitians and several other groups as well. So they've been crossing the border into Canada to the point where some of them even like lost their appendages and like fingers and stuff because it was so cold.
Oh no!
And, yeah, I've seen cases of that. And but they're like, oh, I'm just happy to be here now. I'm like, wow, that's so heartwarming. Anyway, because they were apparently so fearful for their safety, they decided to brave the cold and sometimes even the river sometimes.
Oh my gosh!
And to get across, and but they're okay now, I guess, more or less.
The U.S. used to be like that. That's so fucking sad. People used to be so glad to get here.
Yeah.
That's $1 in the swear jar.
Wait a minute. I take one out, right?
Right.
I thought we went through that. I thought we figured it out last time. I take one out and I get, if I get enough, I get pizza.
We basically want to make sure that it's Tom, the one who makes this video monetizable. He's going to be the reason.
Well, now it's not monetizable. We can just sing them "Fuck the Motherfucker" song then.
At least you're over.
Wait a minute.
The requirements, Kristi. You're like 6,000, and then you probably get more than 8,000 views in a year, probably. I would think.
Yeah, I'm totally like a junior in high school when it comes to like sort of or maybe sophomore. Like you get in freshman year, and that's like you were under 5 subs, and then you're like a sophomore when you get to like 10,000, and then you're like a junior, and then it goes up. But yeah, so I'm too cool for school. They aren't going to try to demonetize me, bitches.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is you are in charge. You could edit all of this stuff out.
That's true.
If you wanted to. We can swear as much as we want. We can talk about. No, we couldn't. It would drive me nuts if we did talk about other things, under other bannable offenses.
Oh yes.
By the way, I'm reading the chat. So Little Honor is in the live chat, and she says that everyone from the Hangout reads here. Just give a big kiss on the cheeks to everyone. So kisses all around from Little Honor.
Back to you.
Oh, and Little Honor, I want you to be in the Hangout so I can hear your reaction to my leggings. Because of C-Shy's Batman video earlier this week, I'm wearing my Batman hat, Batman, the Batman long sleeve t-shirt, and of course,
let's
the
see
Batman leggings.
Look at those.
If he's cutting away, it's hard to see.
Excellent.
That's for you, Lito.
So how do you? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because we're Europeans, you have to do 2 kisses, 1 on each cheek.
There you go.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because we're Europeans, you have to do 2 kisses, 1 on each cheek.
Viva Italia.
That's weird.
Two kisses, one on each cheek.
Oh, I think, yeah, Brian, I think someone had an echo, so I just muted you to stop the echo, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think the 2 kisses is metric.
I thought we were like in the Himalayas for a second. Like I hear Chris's echo.
Yeah. So how's everyone?
Yeah, we want to talk about your video.
My
Yes.
video? Sure. So yeah, I had the vacation from work for the first time, and like Troy, from the channel The Lone Wolf 1980, has been like encouraged me to do more YouTube stuff, to be a YouTuber and do some videos. And so I kind of was like, well, I got a bunch of time. I want to like do something, and I thought, you know what? It'd be fun to just have a clip package of like the Patreon hangouts from Steve Shive's channel or Kristi Winter's channel. I was about to say my channel, but I don't have any Patreon hangouts yet. And so yeah, I did. I watched all the Patreon hangouts for Steve's channel and your channel in 2017 to get timestamps for some of the I'm biased, one of my personal favorite moments from those hangouts, and cut them together in a clip package. And yeah, and that's what I did. And I published the Steve Shives one last week, and Steve put it on his Patreon link as well, and so that was cool. And then I just finished the Hangout package, clip package for your Hangouts yesterday, and I published that. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you remind me, I'll put a link to that underneath the video by the next 24 hours or so.
Yes. It is. And Steve Shives mentioned that on the Patreon Hangout while I was on air too of my video, and he mentioned my video for Kristi's as well. So yes, I was shamelessly trying to use your and Steve's fame to try to plug my own channel.
Excellent.
Well, I like your editing. I could even tolerate listening to myself.
How many of you guys actually watch the Hangouts back?
Well, I did.
I don't think I've ever done it.
I haven't watched Steve's yet, but I saw ours because I'm shamelessly self-absorbed.
I'm not a big fan of my voice in video and recording, so it's a little grating for myself to listen to myself speak on camera or on video.
And you have the best voice.
Oh, thank you very much.
Your voice.
Yeah.
I should probably get over myself in that case.
For me, I just got used to like hearing the sound of my voice, and also I still want to be an actor, or in a way, I am an actor, but I also want to eat, so that's why I have a day job. But I kind of like for that purpose got used to hearing how my voice sounds for like voice acting or anything like that. I never done anything work. I did audition for stuff, but yeah.
Well, Matthew's used to hearing the sound of his own voice because he does like reading for audiobooks or the sound stuff all the time. So you've got to hear yourself all the time.
I have to listen to myself when I edit it. But yeah, to answer your original question, I was going to say that I watch the ones I miss, because obviously your timing is always, I seem to be at the theater, so I can't make it. But if I'm in it and I've seen the whole thing, I usually just ignore it because you put your output is so prodigious that I can't keep up anymore.
Yeah.
Almost the same for me too.
You keep apologizing for not putting out stuff, and then as soon as you apologize, you drop like 4 more hours of stuff. I've gotten to the point where I have to watch basically my entire subscription list at 1.25 or 1.5 speed. Although with you, if you're like in education mode, when you become the professor, I can do it at 1.5 speed, but when you get excited, I have to drop it back.
I turn into a chipmunk.
A little unknown mention in the live chat, Matthew's voice is so smooth and awesome. I just want to share that.
He does.
Thank you very much. And then hopefully my computer can keep up and not screw me over this time. That's why my camera's off, because when I turn the camera on, it just overloads just enough to make the audio go crazy.
Right. No, your voice is velvety smooth. It's been with the most recent ones with the shift to the new format, and I've been told several times I sound like a late night DJ, and I've also been told by somebody that he puts on my podcast to fall asleep to. Like I listen to it. I had to go back like 7 or 8 times because I keep falling asleep. But I take that as a compliment, you know.
Mhm.
Well, I
I
actually have listened to like your postmodern hangout 6 or 7 or 8 times and stuff like that. I'll listen on your channel. I'll listen on Gwendolyn Spears' channel. I'll listen on whoever else mirrors it and stuff like that. I'm listening back now because I'm trying to get a Gwendolyn Spears watch time up to like 4,000 hours and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm crazy like that.
Yes. I think it's only minutes, isn't it? 4,000 minutes?
4,000, I know it's hours,
Yeah.
but
Hours.
a friend of mine who's good at math, he did a calculation for me one day. It's only like, if your average video is 3 minutes long, you only need to have 80,000 views. So it's not that much, is what I'm trying to say.
And in the past 12 months too, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a year, right?
Yeah.
Combined. It's not that much, honestly. For you, probably it's not.
Well, yeah. Of course, they've changed the algorithms now. It used to be how many views you were getting. So people could make short things and just churn them out, a 3-minute video, and become really popular on the algorithms. But now it's about how many minutes people stay on your channel. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's some idiot with a beard who yells a lot who managed to do that back when I first started in this on YouTube.
Hey, I was doing the best thing.
Not that idiot with the beard. The idiot with the beard with the whose name I won't say. TJ.
I thought it was TJ.
There's so many with a beard screaming at a camera.
Is it a fat? Is it a very fat bearded guy who once started his own amateur porn one time?
That's more specific.
Actually, it was twice, wasn't it? It wasn't once.
If you just say guy with a beard yelling, could be Thunderfoot as well. So, you know.
Yeah, but if you say the other banana man, I think you got it.
Then, yeah.
Yeah, but if you think about it, like Dick Coughlin has a beard different times, and he yells at cameras all the time.
That's true. Like I said, there's a lot of shouty white guys on YouTube.
There's Kevin Logan as well.
Yeah.
He's a new subscriber to my channel.
Oh, that's great. Kevin's a good guy.
Yep.
One of the people who, as Kevin would say, is trying to drive us back into the sea.
Yeah, Manosphere is fantastic. So, Chris, to me at least, you sound a bit Dalek-y. I don't know if you want to F5 it and refresh. Come back in.
I'm having trouble with my camera, so if I don't reappear, then I love you.
All right, well, all right. Or just check your settings too. So, yeah.
Okay, so
Who was gonna say? Who was saying something?
I was thinking, I had a name for your podcast with Kevin that I thought you guys maybe could use, but the special Ks. People seem to like that in the chat. So, but I guess it's the Kristi and Kevin hour now. So I guess.
Yeah, well, it's a happy hour, but it could be the special Ks.
Oh, please, people love that usually when I said it in the chat.
Yeah, I love that too. I wasn't in the chat, so I didn't see it. I will. Yeah, Kevin got, after his, rise to fame by, being snarky at Richard Spencer, he got really super busy. So our happy hour kind of got pushed back, but I'm hoping to get connected with him again. Although it's Carnival here coming up this week in Cologne. So
reason enough for me to drink.
Yeah,
so
Carnival's always a reason.
You're gonna be glowing.
Yes, I will.
You'll be partying vicariously with us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mariana, do you guys celebrate Carnival?
Yes, Franconia is actually one of the bigger carnival spots in Bavaria, but I don't.
All right, can you tell people what your carnival celebration is like? Like, what are the things, the big moments of it, or whatever? When it starts, when it ends?
There's a few parades, but mostly it's those big televised things where there's people in the audience and people on stage doing cabaret and satire and stuff. And it's not for me because one, there's people, two, it's loud, so nope.
Yeah, in Cologne we have, it kicks off on Thursday, which is Weiberfastnacht. Habe ich das richtig gesagt? I hope so. So it basically means it's like the women's festival. So the Thursday of Carnival, the first day, it's tradition that if men go out with ties, women can go up to them and take scissors and cut off their ties, sort of emasculating them, sort of symbolically. And also, women can kiss any man they want.
Oh, okay.
So, yep.
So needless to say, we don't take advantage of it because, you know, there's
gotta
not
ask
that
for
many
consent.
great. No. But yeah, so
I like the
there's a
cutting
lot
off
of
the tie
kissing.
thing.
There's a lot of kissing at Carnival.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my dad
Were
was
you-
at a conference in Düsseldorf, I think,
Oh no!
during
Oh yeah.
Carnival once, and my dad knows the tradition, so he didn't wear a tie that day. But one of the booths was very, very strict about the tie thing, and he saw a huge group of very bewildered-looking Spanish businessmen looking at their cut of ties. And at the booth, they just clipped the ties like trophies at the edging of the booth.
Yep.
So-
Basically. But
Yep.
some
Yeah.
guys get in the spirit of it and they'll go out with like 6 or 7 ties. Like, come on, ladies, cut my tie. So that's Thursday. Everyone starts drinking at 11 minutes past 11. We're all in costume. We're all partying. Not everyone's drinking, but everyone's partying. And then it goes to Friday. Starts again in the morning, goes all day long. Then Saturday, there's like a parade. Usually that happens. I think it's either Saturday or Sunday. There's a children's parade. And then Monday, there's the big Montag, Rosenmontag or Rose Monday. And that's when there's the big citywide parade. So we have a state holiday on that Monday, or at least a city holiday, and we don't go into work. So yeah, we start on the Thursday, and then we end on Friday, and then Tuesday night. I think I've talked about this in the past. We have the burning of the Nubu, where you put the scapegoat, all your sins, and then you take it outside and you burn it, and then you go home, and then you need 40 days to clear out your liver.
It just reminded me. I was like talking to a coworker. It's just like coworker talk. It's like, hey, are you going to that retirement party? And my coworker's like, no. January is January I give my liver a break because with November and December of all that drinking, I have to give my liver a break for January. And I gotta learn to do that, especially when going to like my stepmom's and my dad's for the Christmas party and stuff like that, because yeah, I cannot trust my stepmom with my liver. My dad and my brothers, definitely. They can tell me, Jonathan has had enough. But with the stepmom, no, because she said, hey, do a shot of Crown Royal Vanilla with me. Sure, okay. The dad, I'll tell you when, and then my stepmom covered my eyes, so I don't know how much is being poured.
Yes. So yeah, partying way too much. That's why we have to pace ourselves. So I'm gonna Thursday on, Friday off, Saturday on, Sunday off, then Monday take the day off again.
Yeah.
And then back to work on Tuesday. So
I got a mention from the live chat. Lonely Wolf 98 is in the live chat. Hello, Lonely Wolf. He said, listen, only pack Walmart ties if traveling to Germany for Carnival.
exactly.
With that tradition.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is you need all your costumes, and I decided because it's still pretty cold out, and this is the problem with having with women in their costumes is that it's always the sexy whatever. It's a sexy kitten, it's a sexy flapper, it's a sexy witch, it's a sexy nurse, and they're all short, and it means in February you're freezing your ass off. So you know that you guys remember when I was wearing my reindeer pajamas with the furry? I'm gonna wear that out with sneakers. I'm beyond giving a fuck anymore. I'm just like, I want to be warm and comfortable. That's it. I don't want to look awesome. I've been a flapper. I've been a Baroque. I've got all those costumes anyway. I can put them on. But yeah, this year I could basically go out and what you're looking at in my avatar as well. That's another option.
A couple more comments from the live chat. Earlier in the live chat, see, James Bell Maxwell said to Kristi Winters, greetings, Dr. Winters. I hope all is well and Happy New Year. So I just want to share that. And then Lonely Wolf 1980, a quick comment, robust feminist liver.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan, with the co-hosting and call-outs from the super chat. Thanks. So I'm gonna bug some people here. Brian, I muted you earlier because we had an echo. But yeah, what's up with you? What's going on in your life? What can you tell us?
Well, I missed the discussion before this started. Some people were talking about making bread. That's one of my favorite things to do. It's the beginning of the semester for me. I am also DR BC lad, so the DR is I'm a professor too. So
Sweet. Hello, doctor. Hello, doctor. Hello, doctor. Doctor.
Yes, hello,
So,
doctor.
I'm calling back to Spies Like Us, Chevy Chase, and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah,
Boy, that's a call out to people over 40.
That was certainly. I'm older than that, so yeah, I know what you're talking about. So I happened to be on the machine at the same moment that you were on, and I said, "Hey, go look." So here I am.
Welcome. We're happy to have you. And tell us about your bread. What's your favorite bread to make? Because I am a big fan of sourdough. I like cultivating sourdough and keeping it and nurturing it and tending it.
I understand that. I don't tend to do sourdough. I've taken a recipe from the University of Montana, I believe it is, actually has a staff baker. That is, they have a faculty baker. And so they developed a recipe, and I saw it on Alternet, I think. And basically, I altered it to use commercial yeast. But fundamentally, it's supposed to be helpful if you are gluten intolerant. Fortunately, nobody in my family is, since I love baking bread. But I make a cranberry nut loaf that is basically breakfast all week for us.
That sounds delicious. Mariana, I know you were doing a mix of rye and wheat, you said, but how's a cranberry nut bread sound?
Nuts depends on the nuts, and cranberries are no-go for me.
North Americans and their sweet breads.
Well, but I'm willing to bake. I'm willing to bake anything. It doesn't really matter. The other one that I'm working on is the Swedish cardamom cinnamon.
Ooh, that sounds good.
And so yeah, my wife gave me a recipe last week. And I tried it once, and it was good. It was good enough to do again. I just haven't gotten around to it.
So, Brian, are you Canadian or American? Because I don't want to misnationalize you.
Well, I am so close to the border that I wouldn't notice. I'm on the American side, but the nearest airport is Ottawa. So.
That's right. People don't know that like what is the country that's like directly south of Detroit? Canada.
Yep.
Yeah, we have to have a contest. Who's the closest to Canada? You or Tom?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else a bread baker in the house?
I try, but it always ends up as bricks. I'm a good mason.
Yeah, bread mason.
Yeah.
That's my mother. That's why I learned to bake bread.
Yeah, growing.
So what is I was going to ask Brian, what is the secret? If you're making bricks, what's the flaw that might be happening there? Do an analysis.
Oh, that's rough. There are so many things that can go wrong. You probably made it too dry. So make sure that the loaf is just barely not sticking to the bowl, not sticking to your fingers, because then it has enough moisture and enough spring to go up. And hopefully, when you put it in the oven, it will also go up again. Now, you can overwater it too, and so then it becomes like a ciabatta, the big flat shoe loaf. That's an incredibly wet loaf, and that's why it's so flat. But there you go. That's what little I know about doing this.
Can we make a baking podcast?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, why not?
So what you're saying is that when you roll the ball of dough against the inside of the bowl, it should keep its shape and it should sort of stick to the sides, but not pull away. It should
clean the bowl. It should stick to itself more than it sticks to the bowl, but just barely.
It's sort of shiny.
Yes. When you get done shiny, and then the window pane test. Hold it up and stretch it, and you should be able to see light through it. You should be able to stretch it far enough that you see light through it without it ripping. That means you have enough. You've stretched the gluten enough to capture the bubbles. And now you're getting me into professor mode. This isn't what I teach. My son, I've taught this to every grade from 5th to whatever the heck he's in now. 11th or 12th. So I can explain it at multiple levels. Yeast farts.
I love that. I'm going to use that.
One of my memories of my grandmother was that she would have us help her make bread, and I'm pretty sure I have this memory of she'd have the bread. It sounded like a farmer's loaf, a white bread kind of loaf, but after she put it in the bread tin, she would put like lard, just a little glaze of it or something over the top of it.
Oh.
That would help harden it up so that the moisture would be captured inside the bread. It wouldn't all escape, you know, and give it that nice sort of toasty crust on the outside.
Yep.
My grandma made the best bread.
That's always true. Whatever you grew
all
up with,
grandmas.
that's bread.
Yep. Yeah.
Dead Vinny in the live chat, you can make any bread turn into stone by putting them in the microwave oven for too long. So just want to add that.
You can microwave bread.
No, no, you can't. That's the point.
Not to create it. You can warm it up in the microwave, and if you warm it up in the microwave again, a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Microwave bread sounds slightly better than microwave eggs.
Oh, no. Here's what you do for microwave eggs, right? You take a small glass bowl and you put like a tablespoon or spoon of water in it. You drop in 2 eggs and you sort of whip it up a little bit, almost not quite into a scramble, but, you know, enough to sort of mix it up. And then you put it in the microwave for 1.5 to 2 minutes. And then you put salsa on the top and you have Mexican eggs. And because of the water heating up, it creates sort of some bubbles. So you, instead of getting a hard mess, you get sort of light, fluffy eggs instead.
Then again, you can make mug cake in the microwave. That's how you're supposed to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
What cake?
Mug.
Mug.
In a mug.
I have never heard of this.
You just basically shove the ingredients in a mug and then put it in the microwave for a few minutes, and it'll just make a cake.
Yep.
I've seen recipes for mug cookies, so I'm sure it's
Mug
possible.
Cookies.
You learn something new every day.
I swear Americans must have come up with that.
We don't have time for that.
15 minutes in the oven was too slow.
Exactly. You're not going to get some French patisserie going, oh, you know what I really need? Microwave muffin.
Yeah. Somewhere there's a baker listening to this and crying right now.
Yeah.
They're doing it all wrong.
Well, I do have to shout out my one thing I perfected over the holidays. I've actually made Queen Amon. Has anyone had the pleasure?
No, tell us about it and make us drool. Come on, Brian.
It's droolable. It's a Breton pastry, so you have to have Google Translate spell that for you. I can't spell the word queen there. That's how it's pronounced, but it's Breton. Coogan or something like that would be the spelling if you pronounce it in English. Basically, imagine making croissant, but the last couple of folds, coat it with sugar so that when you bake it, you get layered caramel.
Oh,
I think they had to do that on the Great British Bake Off.
Yeah,
I believe they
yeah,
did. My wife mentioned it.
Yeah, the Great British Bake Off made breaking nerds of an entire like class of people who had no idea that they were into baking.
It made baking sexy again. It's great.
It's like, how can there's a great line on a TV show called Gogglebox. And Gogglebox is on Channel 4 in the UK. And what they do is they take people watching TV shows in their houses, all watching sort of like the same TV show, and their reactions. And they show a clip of the show, and then they show the reactions. It's very, very humorous. Sometimes, you know, if there's a drama or something, it's sad. But there's a great line in the opening sequence when I'm sure they're watching Bake Off, and one girl just goes, "How can cake be so intense?" It's the Welsh girls, for those who, yeah. And I didn't even do the accent as hard as they do it because you can't understand it. It's like, how can cake be so intense? It's just crazy. But anyway.
Wow, that sounds like, just to hear it, it sounds lazy television making. But it also is, I think, quintessentially a meta commentary on our lives.
Well, it's a weird combination, right? Because most people love a good pastry, right? You go past a patisserie or some kind of place and where they've got the glazed fruit cups, custards and mille-feuille and all these sort of delicacies, and you're like, oh, and you eat them and you're like, ah. So you watch the Great British Bake Off and you kind of like learn how these things are made, so you get kind of nerdy, but then you see the creations afterwards, which look so fantastic. But then there's an element of competition because, of course, people are eliminated. And yet, because you spend time with each of the contestants, it becomes a human interest story. So it works on a lot of different levels as a TV show, a lot like Doctor Who does, in terms of being able to appeal to a lot of different audiences for a lot of different reasons. And yeah, of course, when you get to the end and people have really the other thing too about these cooking shows is that you see someone start and they're nervous or they're overconfident, and they grow and they learn and they fail and they succeed and they make it past all of these personal setbacks and triumphs. And then at the end, they just produce the most fantastic things that they didn't even know maybe that they could do. And you're celebrating with them because you're so happy. It is really addictive, and family-friendly television too.
But I also love Paul Hollywood saying, "You've got a soggy bottom." So, you know, that's
just... there's a Twitter dedicated to showing the innuendos of Bake Off.
Oh boy.
Well, wait,
Yes,
Wolf, you
it's
got
so
some work cut off. You got some work cut off for some baking memes. Go, you do that. You're good at that, baking memes. Go to it.
And of course, Bake Off got quite political a couple years back when a woman, I don't know where she was from. It was, I don't know if it's Southeast Asia or the Middle East
Pakistan.
or something. Pakistan, yeah, thanks. She won Bake Off.
Yep.
She won the Great British Bake Off, and there was like a sort of, oh, this is PC culture, and this was rigged so that she would win, and people were like, no, she deserved to win, and yeah, so even Bake Off can get political.
She's doing really well now because she's got a her own cooking show and things like that, where she goes back to Pakistan and like shows all the cuisine of there.
Do you know the title of the show?
Nudges something. I'll look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, the 21st century has really been
a cake for the Queen for the Jubilee.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and there's also one show that they're doing desserts with crazy, like doing like chocolate, painted chocolate on things into flowers, and what the cooking shows can be really amazing. I don't really like the American ones. They're very aggressive and people are all about the competition, whereas because they're British, they're so passively aggressive and polite to each other.
Jamie Oliver is not exactly polite.
There's a great German-French cooking show on Arte. It's called where they visit different countries and show the local cuisine and just visit a family and see how they cook. That's very interesting.
Wow.
Australia also has a show I'm completely addicted to called My Kitchen Rules. And there it's very much ordinary people from different parts of Australia. So it's sort of a regional, again, competition. This one's a bit more like Big Brother because they have them talking to the cameras, about each other. And that sort of like catty side of it comes out. But they've got a French Michelin star chef and a really famous Australian chef and also an Irish chef who comes in to judge. And when they make like the authentic French food, the French chef always like is raising an eyebrow going, I don't know, and it's, so the other thing about the Australian cooking show is because they cook, I think there are like 50 some episodes. It's absolutely crazy, but they end up cooking so many different varieties of food. And because it's Australia, they have a lot of Southeast Asian influences. Also, India is a big influence, but they take a lot of influence too from France and the UK and Germany and other parts of the world. So it really is a very global cooking show. I learned so much about how people make food all over the world because of it. And that just killed the conversation. So
my screen froze on me, so I was like, I didn't know if the conversation ended or my screen froze and stuff like that. So hey, let's hear from some of the other people who haven't spoken in a while.
Exactly.
Em, how are you doing?
Thanks for taking control, Jonathan. I appreciate that.
I just think it's funny that as an American that's in the UK, it's not all these delicacies that I see on the Great British Bake Off that that I'm going for. It's I miss things like Taco Bell,
Yeah.
and donuts. I miss donuts.
When I was in No. But when I was in Colchester, I found a Taco Bell while I was doing focus group research there, and I was in town for 3 days, and I went to Taco Bell 3 times. I was like, I'm eating filth. I don't even care. I know it.
But it's filth that I'm used to. Exactly.
Right. Yes.
There are like 4 Taco Bells in the entire UK, and one of them is actually where my ex is from, so
We have that many Taco Bells.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't keep them out. It's like, it's like catching a cold. You get one and they start to multiply. It just spreads.
They actually have Krispy Kremes in London, but I'm not going to try.
Oh yeah, at Euston Station or King's Cross, one of the two. I know they have them outside because I go past them every time and go, no, Kristi, it's just lard and sugar. It's just, but I want it. No, it's just lard and sugar. Okay, just one. Just one.
Here's the thing about that. You really do think in your head, you're going like, the first time I went to McDonald's in the UK, I was like, oh, you know what I really miss? I miss a chocolate shake. And I got a chocolate malt or a chocolate shake here in the UK, and it tastes like, those little cartons of milk that you used to get when you were in school.
That were chocolate?
Yeah, that's what it tasted like.
They meant chocolate milk. I had the same thing. I ordered a chocolate shake and I got chocolate milk. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Where's my ice cream? This is chocolate milk. This isn't a shake. What kind of second world civilization is this?
This is what I always say about eating at McDonald's. The idea of eating at McDonald's or Burger King or Jack in the Box is much better than actually eating at Burger King, McDonald's, or Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, they always advertise these quote American things, and they're not American at all. Like Frank and Benny's is a restaurant over here that's supposed to be American and Italian, and for breakfast they have a full English. I'm like, how is that American?
I went to one of those places and they had a pepperoni pizza, and I said I want extra pepperoni. So American. I'm thinking like Pizza Hut. Basically, it's pepperoni with a little bit of cheese poking through the top. That's what I'm thinking. Brings the pizza to my table. They're like 9 sort of like pepperoni sausages the length of my thumb, not any bigger, on the pizza. And I just looked at it and went, is that extra pepperoni? And he went, yeah. I'm like, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. I think I love the UK. I keep ripping on it, but I do love it.
I think maybe we understand a little bit from this conversation why Chinese and Japanese people get so upset about about Americans claiming that we have Chinese food over here, like chow mein and.
That's right.
I know the story of why there are so many Chinese restaurants all across America. Would you like to hear it?
Sure.
We would like to hear it.
I have my own.
Here's the story.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, it came about because of immigration policy, actually. When the railroad, the Continental Railroad was being built, there was a lot of workers brought over from China to be working on the western side of the railroad. And there was a lot of racial backlash against this. So one of the bills that Congress passed in terms of immigration restrictions said that you couldn't bring over Chinese workers for any kind of construction work or any building work, anything along those manual lines. But the restaurant industry was one area that you could get a work permit for. So what people were doing was they would pool their money and start a Chinese restaurant. And when it became successful, they would open another one. And then you had this sort of base of people who had Chinese restaurants that they were operating and were successful. And if they wanted to bring people over, they basically had to raise the funds to start a new restaurant. But this was the other thing, how racist the laws were at the time. The only way that they could get approved to buy a new restaurant is if a white man signed off on it. So basically, there were a bunch of white guys who got paid a lot of money to just sign off on this paperwork. But what it allowed communities to do was pool their wealth collectively. And then when the wealth sort of like grew to a point where they could sustain another restaurant, they would open it somewhere else and then use the work permits to bring people over. And because basically Congress socially engineered the economy in a way away from Chinese workers being in manual labor, they basically went into the service industry. And that is the reason why Chinese restaurants exist across America. Mm-hmm. Even though Chinese people don't live across America in sort of the numbers that would, you'd think would sustain like another ethnic group's, restaurant needs. So yeah, that's why.
Okay, so do you know where General Tso's chicken came from?
No, I don't.
Yeah, because you can't get, that's actually not Chinese. You can't get that outside the United States.
Right.
I can believe that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much. so much of quote Chinese food is Americanized in America and in the UK. It's the same way. They have these crackers over here that God, they taste like literally. I thought when they put it because they put these, I forget what they call them, but they put them in like extra. It's like a snack. And it literally looks like something that you would pack in like your Amazon packages, the little peanuts.
Those crab chip things?
Excelsior!
Oh, it's disgusting. I mean, it literally tastes like foam. But yeah.
It sounds like Erdness chips or flips. But there's also, I have a friend her job is she's a flavorist, but she's French. So she says a flavoriste, which is so adorable. But she has worked in the UK and she's worked in Germany. Now she's working in France. But what she does in her job is basically to mix chemical combinations for flavors in such a way that will be popular in the country that the product is being sold in. So every sort of nation has its own particular preferences on how sweet or salty or other savory flavors that they like. So for instance, growing up, I couldn't get salt and vinegar chips or crisps, as they call them. Right. My understanding now, you can get them in the States, though.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. You can get. Yep. So that comes right over from the UK. That combination of that tang of the vinegar and then also the saltiness, that comes out of fish and chips, and the combination. And so that was something that was definitely like not original to America, but obviously has enough of an audience to make it profitable.
Yeah, but you can't get true because like there are literally crisps here or chips, however you call it, that are so salty and sour that it kind of hurts your gums.
Wow.
You can get them.
Yeah.
Try Cape Cod. Cape Cod's vinegar and salt.
Do you guys have kettle chips there? In vinegar and salt?
We do.
Yeah, those are
they're
pretty good.
big where I'm from.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was introduced through Walker's salt and vinegars, so the kettle crisps are a little highfalutin. They're a bit M&S, Marks and Spencer's for me, but they're very tasty. Whenever you go to Pret a Manger, you get the kettle crisps there. Yeah.
Just something about Asian food for a second. When I went over to live in Korea, it just shocked me because it was so not what I thought it was going to be. It's the exact opposite of what is sold in the stores here. Like even the Chinese food too, because they have an authentic Chinese. They have authentic Chinese food in Korea. It's so by actual Chinese people that have immigrated there, and it's just night and day. It's so different. There's no fortune cookies. There's no
fortune cookies.
Those are
not Chinese.
Then how can I get the special numbers to use for the lottery picks?
Exactly.
Like they've lied to us for all these years. My whole life is like,
how can I get mottos that I can add in bed at the end of and laugh?
How can I play in my pants or in the bedroom if I don't have fortune cookies?
Yeah. Exactly.
So, Jonathan,
that sounds like a personal problem.
I was about to say, there was like a documentary I watched like 10 years ago, back when I was in high school on the Food Network, History on a Bun, and they did a section on like chow mein, something like that, and how that's actually as American as anything else, because it was, if I remember the story, it was like Chinese immigrants that were working at like a restaurant, the Chinese restaurants that were have plates coming back to them and saying that like these are terrible. So they decided like, well, these customers don't know what they like, so they just threw a bunch of like chopped up stuff and chopped up vegetables, threw it into a plate and then served them, and they were like, oh my god, this is delicious, I love that. And that's how we got like a chow mein or chop suey, I think that's what it was, because it literally means like just a bunch of crap are thrown on a plate, if I remember correctly.
It never rings true to the American experience.
Yeah, I had I ate chop suey growing up, assuming it was Chinese, and then I remember my mom taught us how to make it, and it basically took brown gravy sauce, and you boil it into almost like it's loose enough to be or wet enough to be a broth, And you sear off some really high quality, you know, like stew beef, and then you throw in, you know, like just whatever, water chestnuts and sprouts and celery and everything else. And I was like, yeah, this is not very Chinese. This looks like Polish chop suey.
Well, the reason we like it, or the Americans liked it, was there's also no spice.
That's true.
I can definitely see that.
Is about the most. Yeah. Oh yeah, and like a quarter cup of soy sauce too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, exactly. It's salt, but not spice.
Right. Yeah, we suck at spices. I mean, like I enjoy like hot stuff and spicy stuff, like crushed red peppers. I call those sprinkles, and I put it on my pizza every single time. And I have like at least always a bottle of hot sauce or sriracha or something like that. And I should just bring them wherever I go, bring them to any restaurant or bring them to work and stuff like that, because I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's hot though, and then there's spice.
Right.
Because you know, you go from like a jalapeno, which is just a hot which I love. But then I've had curries from India where, you know, it's been sort of like simmering away for hours, and you get that layered effect of, you get first the warmth, and then you get a little bit more warmth, and the back of your throat starts to like really heat up, and then your nose starts to run. You're like, I can't stop. It's too good, but I have to blow my nose. Hold on. That's very different from like a Mexican sort of hot sauce or Tabasco sauce.
Well,
actually, that's why I like hot stuff. It clears up my sinuses, because I actually do have seasonal allergies. I'm allergic to grass. That just sucks.
Yeah.
Tom, you were going to say?
Well, I just probably to show you how bourgeois and white bread, as we talked about bread, and middle American I am. To me, Tabasco is that sauce that is hot, but also has another taste to it that makes it lovely to me, anyway. So many hot sauces are just hot.
Yeah.
And I don't, you know, I've tried a lot of different hot sauces I've tried a habanero sauce that I could actually tolerate after a gallon of milk. But it was hot, and that was it. But
I think Tabasco, I think it's got like a pepper hit to it or something.
Yeah, well, it's made out of. I think so. Yeah, it's made out of just red peppers. It's not anything.
Peppers, salt, and vinegar.
Yeah, it's not anything great, but it's, to me anyway. But again, that's probably betrays something about my American roots.
Well, maybe it's the vinegar then that you're picking up on, the sort of tang of the background to that. Sorry, Mariana?
Tabasco is actually fermented because it gets put in barrels with salt and vinegar and then left for at least a year, I think, before being filled into bottles.
Yeah, I'm sort of like, because now you guys have me thinking of, well, not really Bloody Marys, but I do get I get vegetable juice and Tabasco sauce and Worcestershire sauce. And
Worcestershire. I gotta
that's
use
a nice Sunday morning. Yeah, that's a nice Sunday morning kind of thing to have. It's sort of
Sorry, sriracha is also fermented.
Yeah,
yep.
Makes sense.
And it's awesome.
Yes. Actually, like I remember, like one like fitness guru or like one recommendation he always makes for people that try the dieting. Okay, replace ketchup with hot sauce, like sriracha or stuff like that. Less calories in the hot sauces than there are in the ketchup, and in my opinion, more flavor.
I live in Buffalo, so I'm in the home of the wing. We just call them wings here, and one of the differences between Frank's red sauce, which is the real sauce, and the other is instead of it's jalapeno and butter, which is a very nice combination. Because you got that the butter crisps the wing itself, and then you have the outer hot sauce. But when you get in, you got that nice buttery taste. That's how you make wings right. Everywhere, because I travel a lot for work, but every time I go and say, okay, let's have your wings. No, you didn't do it right either.
One of my favorite things to do in the spring, which I totally ripped off from My Kitchen Rules, is when the asparagus starts appearing in the stores. And yeah, just take asparagus and take some olive oil and also get some prosciutto. So you heat the olive oil, you put in the asparagus and sort of green it off, sort of warm it up, the colors, and soften it. And then you take it and roll it in the prosciutto. And then you put the prosciutto back in the pan and you sear that off.
Yep.
And then, of course, if you have some, you should take some fresh Parmesan.
Of course.
On the side, or also fresh cantaloupe to balance out the salt.
Cantaloupe with that is amazing.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. And so when I have a friend just want to stop by and I don't have anything in the house, we just go to the market and we get that, and then maybe do some fresh sort of cherry tomato, mozzarella, again olive oil, fresh basil leaves, maybe a hint of salt and pepper, and just sort of mix that up in a salad, and then a little strawberry shortcake with fresh strawberries and sponge cake to top it off, and there's barely anything to wash when you do that.
That is nice.
God, we're now in the food porn portion of this hangout, and now I'm hungry.
Exactly. I feel like I have to contribute because I just got a new colleague, and she's Indian, and she grew up in India, and literally growing up, never went to a grocery store. Everything they cooked with was made in town.
I see.
So her dad owns the tamarind field, and someone else owns the rice paddy, and someone else owns the whatever. And so she and her husband travel back to India fairly regularly, so they bring back the real thing. But I'm learning to cook Indian now. So.
Oh, it's fantastic! Yeah, my friend is from Goa, and she married a Brit, and she's now she makes amazing curries, and he wants to learn how to make them, and he now makes his own paste. And will fry his paste off, yes. And the last time I was there, they used the Rick Stein recipe that had small new potatoes, which is kind of unusual for curry, and also green beans. But it sat and simmered for so long, and the flavors were so deep and rich, and it was just like heaven. The curry sauce and then the vegetables balanced it out, and yes. And she also makes fresh papadums. She'll whip them up and do them by hand in hot oil on the oven. I love visiting them.
Oh my God, fresh papadum.
Yes, yes.
I can't even imagine.
As a fan of Red Dwarf, I've always been intrigued with the Indian cooking that Lester would always praise and go on about vindaloos and curries and stuff like that. And yeah, so I want to go to Britain just to try. I'm gonna find some Indian restaurants around here, try their food and see how it compares to what I think it would be.
Yeah, I know I had some in DC. Yeah, Mariana.
Yeah, and my old flat a few years ago, there lived an Indian family across the hall from me. And often when I came home from work, the woman was cooking, and I was always sitting there, should I knock and ask for if they have something to spare? And then one day, I meet the building caretaker who also lived in the building. In the elevator, and she started complaining about all those that smelly food that they're always cooking, and if I don't find it annoying, nope, I like it.
Oh my God, smelling Indian food is like a blanket for your stomach. You're like, oh, that's gonna taste so good.
That's the interesting thing is that my stepmom is Vietnamese, and so are my stepsister, so that makes me step Vietnamese. But also at work, I know a few Filipinos as well, and it's the weird thing is for them, for my stepmom, when she got the new house with my dad, they built they had a shed, basically a tool shed, just installed in the backyard where that's the kitchen, because she doesn't like to cook inside the house, and some of my Filipino coworkers are like that too. They don't want to cook inside the house because it causes the whole house to smell like food, and I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds awesome, but nope, they like to cook outside to avoid that problem.
That's the nice thing about living in the States. You couldn't do that in Europe.
Yeah.
You'd have to live in a pretty nice neighborhood to just build an outdoor kitchen extension on your house.
I mean, my dad does a very good attempt at outdoor cooking because with his barbecue, but yeah.
Well, it's an attempt, so.
Yes, and the verb to grill in German is grillen. Yeah. Yep. Gonna go grillen. Same thing. It's always fun when I hear like debriefed or something like that. Like, were you debriefed in German? And it was like, what? Okay, yeah, I just adopt the word. It's always weird when you hear words that are identical between the two languages for me.
Yep.
I just had some terrible German sausage. It was the worst.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I had the urge, and so I was like, I want to say it.
You know, Matthew earlier said that ketchup is to him red sugar and paste, but he should try currywurst kind of ketchup.
Oh yeah, currywurst is awesome.
Definitely better than just regular ketchup.
Yeah, screw regular ketchup.
If you ever see me put ketchup on anything, that means whatever I'm eating is that nasty, but I'm so hungry I can't be without it.
Or you've been taken over by a body snatcher.
Yeah. I will never willingly use ketchup on anything.
The mayo was out.
That reminds me of this anime called Gun Sword. It's spelled Gun X Sword, but you don't pronounce the X, so it's just Gun Sword. It's weird. It's weird. Anyway, that's the main character, Vaughn from the Dawn or something like that. All of his, whenever he eats out, he pours every condiment on there. So you see some like screenshots like in ending credits. Okay, there's some green stuff, there's some yellow stuff, there's some red stuff. What the hell is the purple stuff? And it took us a while. I was like, maybe the restaurant has jelly or jam, and that's the purple stuff.
All right, any more food-related points? Since we've done the
I
food
have another anime funny thing about condiments, if you just bear with me for a second.
Go ahead.
There's this one episode of it's a mecha anime series in Japan called Mobile Suit Gundam, and this is called Gundam Seed. And there's one episode where they're in the Middle East, and the main character and his sister, they're arguing with this guy over should they put it was hot sauce or kebab sauce, right, on their bread, and they're fighting, and then they just squeeze them both, and they both land, and it tastes really good. So it's kind of fun.
All right, guys. Well, we're coming up on about an hour, so maybe what I'll do is do like a last call if anyone hasn't had a chance to speak or wanted to make a contribution that they didn't have a chance to before.
Oh wait, I promise Idle Magpie that if he's back in one of our hangouts, we should on Stephen Moffat. One of the reasons that Stephen Moffat is terrible as a showrunner is for like Doctor Who. The things about Doctor Who as a character, as a show, is an excellent vehicle for the writers to like take the story to any place they want to. He travels all the way through time and travels through space, and so you can set the world in anywhere. That's what makes Doctor Who so good, is that the settings that the Doctor is in. But Stephen Moffat wants to make it all about the Doctor, and that's why he sucks as a showrunner.
Oh, this has made me so happy.
Am I the only Stephen Moffat fan in the entire world at this point?
Well, why don't you give a defense? What do you like about Stephen Moffat?
Not a hell of a lot, but when he's because he's really good at ideas. When he's got the second act, he knows he can bring it home, and when he's good, he's great. Then I mean, you know, he shouldn't have his wife as his producer. But
I think you've got a really good point, because when he is forced to bring things, like you said, to a conclusion, which is H. Bomber's point, but it's the stories that he tells stand on their own merit. As you say, he needs almost like peer review. And I was so I've recently gotten into Rick and Morty, and I was watching some of the shows about it, and it was really fascinating to hear what happened in the development of the show. I'm going to skip a lot of the earlier stuff, but they got to a point where Adult Swim, the person who was going to commission the show, he said, I don't like Morty, because at the time Morty was just this character that Rick beat up on. He was just there to sort of like take verbal hits and be a straight man. And they cast a whole bunch of people, and they couldn't they sent 3 up. They cast for the part. They found 3 people. The guy, Adult Swim, said, no, I don't like any of these other ones either. And they decided to have a call about it and talk about whether or not what to do about this problem. And in the call, the show, a commissioner said, look, it's not that I dislike, the character of Morty, but he doesn't have he never stands up for himself. And that's just going to get annoying after about 5 minutes. And so the 2 guys running the show went away and thought about it and worked on it. And they worked up little scripts. One of them actually ended up being the opening sequence to the show, where Morty stands up to Rick when he's trying to blow up the world with the neutron bomb and start over with Morty and Jessica. To establish the idea that Morty does stand up for not only himself, but as the show goes on, just sort of like life and the moral right and doing what's compassionate. And when they made that change, it actually made the show click a lot better, because as the guy from Adult Swim said, when we watch the show, we're Morty. And so we need someone to empathize with. And when Morty stands up to Rick, oftentimes we're on Morty's side. And you need that person that the audience connects with in order to really have a connection to the show. So this was a classic case of kind of like how peer review took a show that maybe would have been good but fizzled out because its shtick would have gotten tiresome after a while, and really forced the artists to create something that was much more interesting and long-lasting. So,
yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think that's a similar point that Mr. Plick at Red Letter Media made in his first review of the prequel Star Wars movies and stuff like that. He has the opinion that because George Lucas surrounded himself with a bunch of yes men, no one challenged him on his creative decisions, which is why the prequel Star Wars movies are in a way such a mess. Now it has its fans like H. Bomber Guy and Guinevere, I believe, and so like that. And I can definitely agree that those movies are not the worst movies ever, but our expectations and what we got I still say they're not good movies, which is why, in my opinion, they're the 3 worst Star Wars movies. I mean, honestly, I think the Ewoks movies are better than the prequel trilogy. Fight me on that.
I will disagree.
Star Wars Christmas special.
That's true. Yes, I agree. That's probably worse than the prequels.
Yeah.
I think they need to redo the prequel Star Wars movies. I don't think it's the movies or the script or anything. I think it was they just need to recut the whole thing without the actor. What's his name?
Hayden Christensen.
Yes. Just cut the whole thing. Just redo it with his scenes out and put someone that can act in.
Well, see, I don't think he's a bad actor necessarily. And actually, Mr. Plinkett, aka Mike Scolassa, said that he didn't blame Hayden Christensen for that.
I think it's poor direction.
The director, yeah. Apparently, Lucas sucked all the emotion out of.
Because Hayden Christensen has acted good in other things, though.
What has he acted good in since?
Well, he acted more in Jumper, didn't he?
So he's Canadian, right? So I probably have more access to his other work than people do, right? So
that doesn't make it in him any bad, just in general. But go ahead.
I mean, the TV the original TV in Canada is not really seen anywhere else unless it's sold some other place. But there's stuff that I've seen where he acted decently, but he's not the only person in that movie that has what's her name? Padme. Natalie Portman.
Oh, Natalie Portman.
She's just as bad as he is, wooden as stiff as you can go, and she's brilliant in other things. So I would put it more
Sam Jackson.
I read that too.
Yeah.
That Lucas was really strict about how the actors actually performed their lines.
He also paid for those movies himself too. People don't remember that.
Can I
think it's also bad.
Natalie Portman was a glorified coat hanger in the whole movies.
That's right. I just remembered.
I can that she's a glorified cum dumpster. I'm just joking.
Now you're messing up my whole point, because George Lucas's wife actually was the person who helped him work on the scripts and did some of the script for Star Wars, and did a very nice job. So
I agree. I can agree with that. I just remembered that, like, and the American Film Institute had a special for giving George Lucas the Lifetime Achievement Award, which he said that, like, yeah, I get the reward for just 3 movies because considered the whole Star Wars franchise is just 1 movie. But anyway, so Luke Skywalker, no, not Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill. He hates it when people refer to him as Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill kind of like did a thing and stuff like that. But when Carrie Fisher came out, she did it as a roast. She walked on the stage and goes, "Hello, everyone. I'm Mrs. Hansel, and I'm an alcoholic." And then she complains like, "If I weren't allowed to wear a bra, because according to you, there's no bras in space, but yet the cute little thing you got to play, Queen Marmaduke, whatever her name is, she gets a new dress every time she walks through a door." And if George Lucas, if I didn't sleep with you to get that job, then who the hell was that guy?
That was Harrison Ford, but anyway, it's just
I'm pretty sure that if
that's what really happens.
after Lucas is gone, if people want to do a Star Wars where they just basically wipe that out of the canon, start over, and get rid of midichlorians and get rid of that whole debacle about the trade negotiations and the blockade, and actually just have movies where people run around in space and have adventures, everyone would be fine with that. We just forget George Lucas ever made this
now they
movies.
could though, because he doesn't have control over it anymore because he sold it off, right? So Disney could just say, okay, it's out of the canon now.
Yeah.
I think if you put that to a vote, everyone would be fine with it.
No, not everyone, because the SJWs are the ones that really screwed up the most recent.
But wait, isn't that us though? So we're responsible for that
apparently.
We have control over
the in the Facebook group of that MRA sad sack who edited out all the women from Lost Jedi.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Mark Hamill took him down.
So sad.
That's like funny. Anyway.
Well, but we're the snowflakes.
You know what? Though?
Yes. We literally are winter snowflakes.
Yeah, you are.
Snowflakes killed the Germans. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, across Russia.
Snowflakes caused avalanches.
I'm gonna say it was the T-34 too, but that works.
And social justice. Yeah, social justice warriors invaded from our side, so all those liberal Americans coming in on Normandy. I don't know. I think we kicked some ass.
Is it kind of ironic now that Russia's kind of like a fascist country now, and when it was communist, it'd be a fascist country? A little bit.
Kind of not surprised a little bit, and so like definitely a corporate capitalist oligarchy for sure, but which is not surprising.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of room to trash them either, though. At this point.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying like I'm just like it's kind of ironic that it's like 7 years later, and it's come full circle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll pull it full circle. All I want is for someone to send Trump to Germany so they can cut off his damn tie.
Yes, I'll do that.
Perfect.
Someone just pulls like a giant broadsword and just.
Somebody comments on it over in Germany, and he says, "There's nothing wrong with my tie." They say the length of the tie is. Says something about shit, and the length. And I got to tell you, there's nothing wrong with the length of my tie.
I got the best ties in the world. This tie's so huge.
But that's the thing with him too is that
my dick is big. That's what I'm saying.
his name is actually German. It's drum.
Yeah,
right? He anglicized it.
Does that mean anything in German, Marianne?
Not really.
His name means nothing in German. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Means nothing here either. So.
And as someone who is from whose family, not my father's but my mother's family, they anglicized their German name. I wish people didn't need to do that, because German names are nice sounding.
Yeah, I agree.
It's sort of painful listening to the various ways people pronounce Robert Mueller's last name.
Mueller.
Yeah.
Miller. Mueller.
Bueller.
Yeah.
Bueller.
Mull Wine is what we're gonna call him next. Like he's mulleted wine.
I mean, yeah, we had the discussion about Weinstein and stuff like that. Why is it Weinstein? I'm thinking to like you. It should be Weinstein. like
Yep.
Rammstein.
Pronounce the last. If the I and the E are next to each other, whichever one comes last, that's the one you pronounce.
We correct the scientific community always says Einstein, so why is it not Weinstein?
I don't blame Jewish people who have German last names for changing the pronunciation of their names, perhaps because
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of people who have been sexually assaulting people and getting kicked out of their positions of power, there was 2 people in Canada this week, both leaders of right-wing political parties, who were the leaders who had to resign because they sexually harassed people. So the movement is going forward everywhere, it seems now.
Yeah, hashtag me too. Awesome. Also, I saw today, well, first, the RNC, that finance guy got booted. The one who was accused of multiple sexual harassment kind of things. And then also Marco Rubio had to fire his chief of staff for sexual misconduct allegations.
Oh, I forgot one too. The federal minister of sport had to quit too because he was harassing ladies too. So.
Yeah. And the president of the university where that doctor was just sentenced to anywhere between 40 and 100 years in prison stepped down because she didn't
didn't one of the didn't the athletic director too, or one of the coaches?
Possibly. I just saw about the president, maybe because it was a woman. You know, she got maybe a bit more and she's a president. So
yeah, it was after she stepped down. I saw just a blur.
More.
I don't remember much about it, but just that I noticed that there was a ripple effect apparently.
Right. Well,
we just got to get rid of our president now.
You know what I find interesting about the whole Me Too thing is I think that it's affecting so many parts of society, but ironically, I don't feel like that it's touched the atheist community at all.
Yes.
I would like the problems are there, but the people coming forward and saying, "Hey, I'm stepping down." Yeah, those guys aren't doing that. Yeah.
But
problems are there.
They're skeptics. So because they're skeptical, they want evidence, and so when they get evidence, they don't believe it because they're logical, skeptical, rational people.
You mean when they publish things in journals that are fake?
Yeah.
And then not mentioning any names.
With sexual harassment, Shermer's not going to be invited anywhere for a little while, at least.
Hope so.
Well, it's kind of hard I think it's pretty hypocritical of the atheist movement leaders to say good without God and then stay silent when people are credibly accused of sexual harassment and assault. And they don't say anything and they don't speak up because women can't do this by themselves. Victims can't do it by themselves.
That's why at the Women's March I had this sign. I had this sign at the Women's March.
Yeah. Oh, you went to that? Cool. Okay.
Can you put it back up because I didn't lock your screen.
Okay. This is the sign that I had at the Women's March, and people were complimenting me for the sign. I showed this in my video of my experience at the Women's March. I am with my sisters, and it's double-sided too, as well. So
awesome.
it's both sides.
How many people were there?
Tens of thousands at least, maybe, I don't know, it's like in 30,000 or 50,000. I'm trying to find reports and stuff like that, but the pictures of like the Seattle one was like pretty good. I tried to get some good pictures of myself because going down like East Pine Street and Pine Street during the march, it was like, my God, it's just a river of people that was like there. And for the most part, my experience was like positive, good. I also wore my Sailor Moon outfit from head to toe, including my pink Sailor Moon hat, so I fit in with the crowd and stuff like that and got compliments for that. So I thought it was good, especially at the start of it. They dedicated like almost an hour or so of the speakers at the march at the Carl Anderson's Park for Indigenous people to talk about the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women. It's still an ongoing problem.
Right, it's great that they took the time to do that.
Having a national conversation about that right now. There's even a commission, a federal government commission about it, but it's kind of had a lot of problems. People resigning and over not sexual harassment, but other things, just maybe not getting along, stuff like that. And we're trying to like work on closing all the unsolved murders of Indigenous women across the country. There's a task force, the RCMP, and different provincial police forces trying to work on that as well. So I'm hoping things will get better with the rest of Canadians and Native people. Make it more of an equal society, so they can get more opportunities and get off the. They should close well, I don't know. The issue of reservations, I'm not sure what to think about that. Like if they should be allowed to stay, or they should just abolish them. Just integrate them into society better. I know that they have tax-free status. There's something in Canada called a status. It's still called status Indian for some reason. I don't know why. And the department was called the Department of Indian Affairs until recently, and now it's called the Department of Indigenous Affairs, I believe, or Aboriginal. So it's just someone who has the tax-free rights of, as long as they live on the reserves. If they leave and go live in society, if they want to, that they lose that, unfortunately. So I wish that they would just resolve that contradiction.
Do they have sovereignty? Because the Indian tribes in the states, I know that the Wisconsin government has to negotiate with the tribes, and they have some.
Yeah.
And so they have sovereign rights. Is that how it works in Canada as well?
Yeah. For example, there was there's some pipelines that were approved a couple of years ago by the federal government, but there was a third one that was stopped by one of the native tribes out in BC. That was the Trans Mountain, I believe it's called, or the Trans Canada, something like that. And they had to have set out, and then they would set out on it, so it was stopped. Basically, that was the reason why it didn't go through.
Okay. Did someone else going to come in? I think before we got off track, or on a side note, or Matthew or M.
Well, I just wanted to say about the Women's March. I think there were a lot of positive things, and I don't want to be negative, always be the negative person, but there were some problematic things, especially when it comes to trans women. Also, I found it pretty problematic. I'm originally from Indianapolis, which is in the Midwest, and they actually had someone from Black Lives Matter speak at their Women's March, and one of the, quote, liberals in town wrote a piece. I kid you not, this is literally the title: "We hang together or we'll hang separately." To talk about criticizing the BLM speakers at the Women's March. So a few of the signs that got attention. I don't know if you saw the one that said I wouldn't be here if Hillary was president. Basically, that was the
I think I don't remember seeing a sign similar to that. From what I remember, I saw much of positivity in the signs. Oh, one thing that happened, there was some church people essentially, because they had a big sign that was colorful blue and rainbow, and then there was when I read the sign, it's wait a minute. Praise be to Jesus, or denounce the devil. It's and this was happening not before the march started, but when the speaker signs. So they were shouting some things, but then most of the people just shouted back at them, almost don't feed the troll, or we don't want your hate here. So they were kind of politely pushed out of that. So, but yeah. I did see on Twitter and all those other things about some of those nasty negative signs that I saw. So yeah,
turfy signs.
Well, there were some that were turfy, but there were others that basically, there's basically what I'm getting at is there's so much testing, regardless of whether Clinton won or Trump won.
Yes, I do agree with that.
People being shot on the streets, people being killed by drone attacks, and Trump just got the ability to basically wiretap people without any oversight at all, and Democrats overwhelmingly approved that.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are things that. Trump is not the pinnacle of why people should be on the streets.
I guess when I heard that you described it, my thought was basically if white women had got their shit together and voted correctly, we wouldn't have the problems with DACA. We wouldn't have the global gag order. We wouldn't have the issue of attacks on trans people in the military. So maybe it's too what people bring to the signs, is because the sign itself can be interpreted in a lot of ways. But I don't think that disagreements or making the march better is a bad thing. I think we all need critique. But as you say, the people's hearts who went out there, whether it was for issues of homelessness or DACA recipients or anyone else, 99% of the people or 95% had their hearts in the right place. But in the marchers' terms and the organization itself too, we can always do better.
Well, I think it's important that people realize that Trump isn't he's a symptom of the problem. He's not the problem.
Right, but his inauguration was the focal point that brought everyone into sort of a conscious social movement, so there is that.
Yeah, but as you said, and this is something that really kind of gets me, is like because in that stream I was talking about, that someone was being critical of BLM speakers, 90% of Black women voted for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
White men have not voted Democratic since 1969. Yeah. So when it comes to tactics and things like that, I really have issue when people criticize, especially BLM, but minority, the people that are oppressed, criticizing the way they're protesting, basically.
Yeah, and we need to have that conversation with people who raise objections, and then you have the conversation. Okay, so you're saying that you get mad when they block roads. Okay, so then you're saying you get mad when they give a speech at an open forum. Okay, so now you're getting mad when they kneel silently. So how can they protest? You're saying every single thing they do to protest their situation is annoying you. What could they do? Because literally they've tried everything and you keep saying no. So what would you say yes to? And so I think, these kinds of critiques hopefully would then open the dialogue to people who don't have racial awareness in that way. And if they're at the march, then they probably have some values where that's just explained. Then they can see the relationship and the structures of power and how it's all bound up into, a racist patriarchy that we're all suffering under. It's a corporate racist patriarchy as well. It's economic as well as social and political, So, but yeah, I think those, critiquing people who raise those criticisms is entirely valid. Sure. So.
Also, I wanted to say there is one good thing about Stephen Moffat. He isn't Russell T. Davies.
Aww.
Oh, come on, don't mess with the Russ.
I have no opinion on Russell T. Davis.
I initially thought the next project that Moffat's going to run is Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Let me do this again.
God.
Of course.
Yeah. And I thought, well, maybe that's a character that he could get away with his writing style. But if you think about it, actually, Dracula, like, in some ways, Sherlock is sometimes defined by his impressions, his reputation, other people talking about him, not always the camera being on him and the story being about him. So we'll just have to see if Moffat again then makes Dracula like the focus of the story and everything revolves around him, or if he's watched the H-Bomber Guy video and has learned to break the conditioning.
Robert Guy has also raised concerns with the new Doctor Who because of the showrunner, and I thought, well, okay, he did Broadchurch. Yeah. I heard good things about that, but then it's like, oh wait, he also did Torchwood, and that one, and he wrote the Cyber Woman episode of Torchwood. Is like, oh.
But Torchwood was a while ago. Broadchurch.
Yeah,
I thought everybody liked Torchwood though.
But he also wrote Broadchurch season 2, which is and he wrote the American Broadchurch, which was awful.
I have to say, I think I skipped that season and went right to 3. All right, guys. Well, we've been going for about 90 minutes, so I think I'm going to wrap it up there. But before we do, Jonathan, do you want to check the chat one more time since you've so helpfully been my co-host? I was teasing you before, but actually I was really grateful the way you were like, "Who hasn't spoken in a while?" I'm like, "Oh."
So yeah, it's in the live chat a while ago when you mentioned Rick and Morty. Dead Vinny mentioned Kristi likes Rick and Morty, so it's official. She has genius IQ, so that might be a reference to something. Okay, a while back when we were also talking about big stuff, I'll share this if I can find it again and something like that. Where was that? Because, way back when we were talking about baking goods and the food porn in that way, Lonely Wolf, 1980, said that dabbing granny couldn't do bake-off if you use a different definition of bake.
Dabbing granny, nice one.
Yes, the dabbing granny. Yeah, so that's her channel is awesome. I only saw a few videos of it, which Lonely Wolf shared. So
nice. I'll have to check that out. Right. Well, then I'm just going to take this opportunity to plug the fact that I'm going to be. It's not going to be a live hangout because I have to edit in some video, but on Monday or Tuesday night. So let's say the video will be out by Wednesday. I'm going to have a video hangout with Steve Shives and a friend of mine who directs sort of horror movies. His name's James Mansell. If you want to go look for one of his movies early, it's called Under the Bed. It's a short sort of 3-minute video. And he's got he's really influenced by, let's say, David Lynch. There's a lot of uncanny kind of horror in there. And I wanted to...
Is that with the dad coming to the kid in bed and the kid says, "Dad, there was something under my bed"?
Yep, that's the guy.
Oh boy. That is... yeah, that is some stuff.
That stayed with me for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got another one we're also going to, so we're going to show that. So that's why I want to do it off air, because we're going to do the hangout. I'll play the videos and we'll talk about them. But when I edit it, I'll actually edit in the video itself rather than me playing the video and then recording the sound through my mic, because that just sounds awful. But I have to do that off air. And then he's got another one called Nightmares, which is equally creepy, just sort of edge of your seats. You should put in your headphones when you watch it, if you're watching it on your phone especially. And we're going to talk to James about his creepy horror film style and his influences and other great examples of psychological horror in film. So that's coming up. I'm really excited about that chat. And other stuff too. Oh, and of course, I've just put out my my Saturday morning podcast radio thing. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check that out, that went up yesterday. And yeah, so that's
okay. One last thing from the live chat. Lonely Wolf 1980 asks, "Did I get the sausage jokes from him?" No, but he reminded me of those sausage jokes. So I want to have that on air.
Official credit. All right then. Then is thanks to my patrons. You guys are awesome. I appreciate the time. I had so much, the time you take to spend with me, and I had so much fun tonight. Thanks to the viewers for watching. I appreciate your time and attention. I've been Kristi. You guys have all been awesome. And goodbye from me and goodbye from my patrons. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.